Hey, hello, hi, everybody. My name is Leah, and this is not the first YouTube video I've ever made, but it will be the first one I've made that I won't be privatizing, so. But before we begin, all credit to one of my favorite YouTubers, Kirsten, I believe, Runquist, for giving me the idea to start this What I Watched series. I've been considering doing it for some time, but I never really had the push until a few months ago when I got Letterboxd. I really like this app and its interface. It makes it really easy for me to track my media habits and, in my case, just keep track of the days. But without further ado, let's get into what I watched this July. First up this month, I watched Set It Up. And I really enjoyed Set It Up. I thought it was a solid, modern rom-com, especially because of the performances that Zoe Deutch and Glenn Powell had. I really like Glenn Powell ever since I saw Top Gun, so this was a really nice movie to watch. However, I cannot for the life of me justify Pete Davidson's casting as the very gay roommate of Glenn Powell's character. I think that's honestly what keeps me from confidently calling this a 4-star future classic rom-com. I think that's what it is. But also, fun fact, I just really, really like Taye Diggs. I loved him in Rent, and I hold such a solid appreciation for him that I couldn't comprehend when he was actually a bad guy in this movie. I think that honestly altered my viewing experience a little bit. I just respect Taye Diggs so much. But that's nothing that the producers set out knowing or, made a mistake with. That's just me. Either way, I really enjoyed this movie. Then I watched When Harry Met Sally, and I watched this movie with my brother, and we both went in with really positive expectations. I thought we were going to have a really good time. But come to find out, for the majority of the first and second act, I was just asking my brother if he was following what was going on. Not because the events of the story were confusing, but just because it took time to get used to the time jumps and the random cuts of couples that don't interact with the story telling their love stories. It was really hard for me to believe that so many people adore this movie. I understand why it's likable, but to me this seems like more of a niche pick that really isn't for everybody. Now, I am new to rom-coms, so it's likely that Nora Ephron's writing just shook my perceptions of what this movie was. I knew it was a rom-com, but I wasn't even sure if Harry and Sally were the love interests going into this movie. This movie certainly occupies a particular space and time, and I just think we both went in expecting something else other than what it was. However, I did eventually come around to this movie, and I really enjoyed the acting performances from Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, and of course, Carrie Fisher was really lovely to see on screen. Next up, I watched Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, and ouch. Ouch. I watched this movie in a packed theater right after a rain shower, and I think that fact only made me more emotional watching this movie. I thought this movie was so well made and extremely delicate, and I thoroughly enjoyed myself watching this movie. I think this movie's color palette and tone is entirely unique to itself, and I thought it explored Marcel's personality and loneliness in a way that is accessible to all audiences, children and adults alike, while still retaining a lot of meaning. Plus, he's just really, really cute. Then I rewatched the Bob's Burgers movie, and this movie is perfect in my opinion. I'm not an avid watcher of Bob's Burgers, but I was told by two people that do watch the show regularly that this movie has great integrity with the source material. And to someone that doesn't watch Bob's Burgers, this movie didn't feel at all like people have claimed Harry Potter and the Cursed Child is, which, to those who might not know, it was criticized very heavily for not being for those who are new to the Harry Potter world. This movie is funny, meaningful, and it seriously changed my outlook on optimism and family. It's just so fun. 5 out of 5. And in a double feature to give you whiplash, I chased the Bob's Burgers movie with Spree. Horror movies are quickly becoming my favorite way to pass the time, and I've been excited for quite a while to watch this movie. And if you're at all interested in this movie, Dead Meat has covered Spree in their Kill Count series, and it is such a great time. I've also been excited to see Joe Keery in a role other than Steve Harrington in Stranger Things, which I think undoubtedly has been the kickstart to what I hope is a long career for him. Spree, however, met my expectations in most areas. I guarantee that I wouldn't have loved this movie had it not been for Joe Keery's performance, which had perfect timing and commitment to rival more serious roles that are praised in mainstream Hollywood. He was greasy, he was awkward, and completely obsessed with himself. It was great. I was thoroughly entertained. I was waiting for what would happen next, and thankfully this movie wasn't one of those that heavily featured the internet, but was made by those completely out of touch with how the internet works. I think my only note is that this movie was a little clunky with its messaging. Jesse Adams' character, played by Sashir Zamata, has a big comedy show in the movie that she turns into a motivational speech / rant about social media, and she smashes her phone on stage when she should be giving a comedy routine. I think that's a little unrealistic that this display would be as widely revered as it is in the movie. However, her social media presence is described as very real, so I can understand that it isn't completely out of the realm of possibility for her to do something like this and for it to be accepted by her fan base. I definitely don't think it was a plot hole because her character does keep everybody guessing in this regard, but this is all just a horror movie. Just my thoughts. I think this was a very fresh take on social media with a really interesting horror element, and I had a great time. In a much more tasteful double feature, I watched Thor: Love and Thunder and Nope. I almost fell asleep watching Thor: Love and Thunder, and after doing some digging, I was fascinated to discover that Taika Waititi did not participate in the writing of Thor: Ragnarok, but was a main writer of Thor: Love and Thunder along with Jennifer Caton Robinson. This movie's writing felt very cookie cutter and cheap, slapped together with some sprinkles of Marvel cilantro on top. I think this movie failed at almost everything, and it was only saved by the acting performances of the likes of Christian Bale, Chris Hemsworth, Tessa Thompson, and Natalie Portman. And just a side note, Shark Week was happening during this time, and I watched a documentary about sharks with my parents with Chris Hemsworth in it, and he seems like a really good guy, so good guy points for him. This movie just felt like scraps picked up from the cutting room floor of Marvel's greater movies, including Thor: Ragnarok. I felt like even the title of this movie was cheap, as I had already thought up of a better explanation for why this movie was called Love and Thunder than the one I actually received in the last line of the movie, where they tell you why it is called Thor: Love and Thunder. Overall, this movie was tolerable. Nope, however, was the best movie I've seen that's come out this year. It was absolutely phenomenal, and I think it expertly navigated the idea of spectacle and the monetization of your life and other more vulnerable lives for profit. It was chilling, insightful, so uneasy, and even funny at times. I've never been so uneasy for such a long period of time, especially at or because of a movie. I think this movie was amazing, and I'm actually debating doing a dedicated video to this movie at some point in the future. I've seen other creators that I watch, like Ralph the Movie Maker, Karsten Runquist, and Taylor J. Williams make videos about their thoughts on this movie, and I think that Nope deserves all of the attention and discussing that it is getting, and then some. And that's what I watched in July. It's a pretty interesting month, although not as long and cool as my June letterbox would reflect. I will put that there. But I hope to talk to all of you soon. Thank you very much for watching.